Testing, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. We are back. It is Friday, the 15th of August, 11 a.m. Central European Time. I hope you're all doing well. I've had a few days off. Obviously, we streamed on Wednesday night. The Oracle streamed yesterday. But I haven't done my morning stream since Tuesday. A lot's happened. A lot of people got very excited, and then a lot of people got very sad. And I'm here to go through a little bit of that today. We are going to have a look at a couple of Bitcoin things today. We're going to look at the PPI pump, the pump in the inflation rate in the States. We're going to look at the ETFs. Where are they going to go by the end of this year? We're going to look at XRP over ETH. Which one should you be picking? We're going to look at the $200 Sol. Is that a challenge? Is it going to happen next week? Altcoin season, is that going to happen? Bitcoin to IBAN. Not sponsored. I think it's a sponsored article, but want to cover it anyway because I think it's actually something that we need to talk about. Okay? And it's called Bitcoin to IBAN. We're then going to look at Boogle. Not Google, Boogle. That's it. Where else do you get an article called Boogle on a Friday morning? Now then, there's a lot of people in chat. We are streaming today on Live, Square, and on YouTube today. I might go live on X, but it's an awful lot of setting up to do. And the more plates you spin, the more chance you have of it falling down. So maybe we'll start doing the Oracle streams on X first. But good morning to, of course, Hidden Agendas. I think came second in the quiz on Wednesday. Kishan, I think you came, what, fourth or fifth in the quiz? Incredible performance. Who else is here? Danny is here. Danny was up there. So was Mary. KB was running errands, I think, so missed out on the fun. We're going to do Jeopardy again. Next Wednesday, we have the Wolf Swap quiz. But breaking news. We are going to do a live stream tomorrow at midday. 1 hour from now tomorrow. So whatever time it is, wherever you are today, right now, tomorrow, in an hour, we're going to go live again. And it's called Market Vision because we asked Grok to give us a name and Grok gave us a load of crap. So we've called it Market Vision and it'll be myself, the Oracle and Yikes doing it. We did a live stream with Yikes, probably last summer. Yikes then went off and started doing a little bit of a tour of different countries. He was also working heavily with a brand. So we haven't really spent a lot of time trying to catch up with him. We've kept tabs on him with what he's been doing. So tomorrow, we're going to go through the charts. Now, there is a rough agenda, a little bit of news at the beginning, what our opinions are of alt season, Bitcoin all-time highs. Then the Oracle's going to come out and have a look at some charts. I don't know if this is going to replace the Oracle show on Saturday night. I've not talked to him about that, but this is tomorrow. Don't miss it. It's going to be, if anything, enlightening. At best, enlightening. At worst, chaos. Who knows how it will go? We're all going to be on different court dial-ins, so there's probably going to be a little bit of a problem somewhere along the lines. We always have problems. But anyway, enough of that. Let's switch over and start to have a look at the charts, which are going to show up in a second when they load. And let's get into it. How are you all today? That should probably be the first question I ask most days, shouldn't it? How are you all feeling this morning? I imagine if I'd spoken to you on Wednesday when we were ripping to the upside, you'd all have been super, super delighted that I was wrong. I'm never wrong. Ever. Ever wrong. I've given you the channel. I told you weeks ago we were going to stay in this channel. Now, my channel is wonky. KB has a channel. The Oracle has a channel. They're straight lines. Mine aren't straight lines. Mine are wonky, okay? Maybe when we talk about Bitcoin later on, I'll bring up my channels for you to show you what I'm talking about. But I think we're going to be here until October. Now, just because I think Bitcoin will be here until October doesn't mean Ethereum and the alts are going to stay in the same boat as well. I'm talking specifically about Bitcoin. And we're going to go through something else in a little bit. Villain Bear brought something up in Telegram yesterday that If you don't watch me, and I don't mean every day, but if you don't watch me a couple of times a week, you're not going to understand what's happening. And I've said on multiple occasions, and maybe I should just forget repeating myself, and maybe I should just say it as it is all the time. The American dollar, the global reserve currency, is going to be the currency of the blockchain. There is nothing anywhere near. Why are Americans pushing stablecoins? Why are they pushing the dollar? Because they know that we are moving to Web3. They know that the flow of money around the world is going to be predominantly in stablecoins. It's not going to be an XRP or Ethereum or Bitcoin. It's going to be in stablecoins. Visa and MasterCard are on board. All the big companies are coming on board. Now, forget 55% of the global reserve currency as it is now. We're talking about probably 90% of the global reserve Web3 currency is going to be the dollar. That's a fact. Now, you show me another currency that you use for your stable coins, and I'll wait, because you don't. You don't. They've tried before with the Australian dollar. They've tried with the pound. They've tried with the e-euro or e-euro, or whatever it's called, e-euro more likely. They've tried with what other currencies? I think they've got a Swiss franc one knocking around. They're all a few $100 million. It's at this moment in time, it's the dollar. Now, for those dollars to exist in Web3, they have to be backed by American dollars. And what do they use to back American dollars? They use T-bills, treasury notes. They basically invest in the American government. So if you're going to talk about a $10 trillion market for stablecoins, or a $100 trillion market for stablecoins, that's going to be $90 to $100 trillion of American debt bought up by Web3. So forget the debt hanging over America. That's how it works. So it's all right saying it's a problem. It isn't a problem. There is no problem. That's just how it is going to work. Now, if there wasn't Web3, then of course America will go into a spiral. But as long as stablecoins exist, as long as they're buying T-bills, then America is going to be fine until some point in the future where they're not fine. But that's how it's going to work. To have stablecoins, to have Tether and Circle regulated in America, they have to buy American debt. There is no other way around it. And anybody that looks at that with some kind of conspiracy theory that that's going to bring down Web3, no, never going to happen. Right then, moving on. We'll look at the markets before we go and have a look at some X-Files. Bitcoin coming in at 119,000. It's down 2.5%. You would think that somebody had gone and kidnapped the Pope yesterday. Or was it the day before? Okay, we're going to go through what was said again in a minute, because I did tweet about this and I want to cover this off as well. Ethereum, though. Look at Ethereum. $4,650. What are we away from all-time highs? 5% from all-time highs. 5% from all-time highs, and people are worried. Get a grip. XRP, $3.12. But look at this. 7-day return. XRP is the only one that's down over 7 days. Maybe it's a profit take. Maybe XRP are actually selling as everybody is claiming that they are. BNB put in an all-time high yesterday. It was at $870, $880, whatever it was. Congratulations. Solana is struggling to hold on to $200. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. Doge, waste of time. Tron, waste of time. Cardano did get back to $1 yesterday. Hype is almost at $50. I still don't see it flipping Cardano. If you remember, probably a week or two ago, Cardano was at $22 billion market cap. And I can't click or highlight because it'll send me to the Cardano chart. That was at $22 billion. Hyperliquid was at $11 billion. So even though Hype has gone up this tremendous amount, so has Cardano. And that's the problem when I talk about moving trains. You can look at Hyperliquid and say, I'm going to go and get that. It's the crazy new coin. Fine, go and get that. But it's gone from $40 to $50. Cardano has gone from 60 cents to $1. You'd have missed out on that pump on Cardano by buying into Hype. All trains run at different speeds at different stages of the market. That's how it is. We spoke about this probably over a year ago, and we said the only two coins that didn't pump were BNB and Polygon. And within a week of that conversation, maybe 2 weeks of that conversation, BNB and Polygon both pumped on the same day. Now, maybe there are a load of people around who just look at the charts and simply go, what hasn't pumped yet? We're going to go and buy that. So they're buying the coins that haven't pumped, and they're the ones with the money. That's why you don't just go and chase the next tornado, because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to buy Chainlink at $1, and you don't want to buy, sorry, not Chainlink at $1, Cardano at $1, to go and buy Hyperliquid at $50 on the chance that Hyperliquid is going to go to $100, when I think more likely Cardano is going to go to $2. Just be very careful about FOMO. FOMO is going to be the death of you. And you want to walk out of this bull run with no regrets. And if you have got regrets, let them be minor regrets. I don't want you sitting here next summer in August, and believe you me, it's hot as Satan's armpit right now where I am. You don't want to be sitting here next summer on your bags of altcoins, which are maybe down 30%. You want to be making sure you dollar cost average out. But that, again, that starts at a different time. Okay, everything is about timing. Aerodrome is the biggest pump at 144. That was one of our picks. I don't hold any, can't hold everything. Pendle, we've made videos about Pendle. That's absolutely ripping. I'm not a fan of Hyperliquid, not because I don't like the project. I think it's great, but I think if you were going to get into Hyperliquid, that would have been a coin to get into at $20 to $25. And I did say if it came back down towards $30, $25, that would be the time to buy it. I don't like buying coins that are overly pumped. What else is down or up? Sorry, Ethena is up. Say is up. Avalanche is up a little bit. Some good gainers in the last 24 hours. Losers, I'm not sure if there's many losers. Floki, Doge, Conflux. Okay, I mean this. By the way, OKB. What they did was they burnt 75% of the supply, and of course, the price went up to $120. The first thing you do, if any coin you hold, if they turn around and say they're going to buy, if they're going to burn 60, 70, 80% of the supply, the first thing you should do is sell. The day that they announce that and it rips, you sell. Because, I'll click on it. It might not crash the browser. There was a time when it was. And the reason you should have sold yesterday is this. The same way when a coin gets listed, that's probably the best time to sell it and then wait for the retracement. So if you look at OKBX, I think it went to 100. Did it go to like $110 yesterday? $123. Is that right? $128? Something like that. Anyway, doesn't matter. $128, $125. Sell it. Sell the coin and then wait. And then when it comes back down, and it's not going to come back down to $3 or $4, it might come down to $90, $80, $70, but it will come down. You sell and then you wait. And then if you really love this coin, you go and buy it again. That's it. That's all you got to do. What you don't do is hold on to it for dear life, because that is emotional trading. That pump was emotional. So you sell, in my opinion, not financial advice, of course. And then let's say for the next 5 or 6 days, it goes to $85 to $90 and it looks like it's found a bottom. Buy back in then. Buy back in then. You've got more coins and you've got it at a higher price. You've already made an absolute fortune anyway. So there we go. Just a little thing on that. Right, we're going to move on with some X-Files because we don't need to cover any more of that. I'll bring up my tweet about the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve in a minute, but we'll get through these tweets first. And if you are in chat, remember to do me a favor. If you don't type in chat, that reflects really badly on our YouTube algorithm. So let me tell you what I mean by that. When we do the quiz night and you type frantically to try and beat Hidden Agendas and KB, we get maybe 15,000 impressions on that stream, because everyone's going tap 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 111111111. Especially if you're Villain Bear, you're going 111. On these streams, when everyone's paying attention and everyone's listening, or you're asleep, you could be asleep, that's fine. When you're all asleep and you don't type in chat, we will get 2,000 impressions. So 2,000 impressions when nobody types, and 15,000 impressions when you're all typing away. Now, I'm not asking you to just sit there and type one, but every once in a while, especially if you disagree with me, just say horse crap. Anything. Just type something in chat. Good morning, BB. I hope you are well. Right then. Now, we're getting to the time of the season where I'm not necessarily a big fan of the people that are bull posting and talking about crypto. We've gone from the crypto people hyping it up to the sharks hyping it up. Eric Trump explains live on Fox News why he's investing billions into Bitcoin. It's the fastest growing industry in the world. How I would read that is, it's the fastest growing industry in the world backed by the US dollar. That's what it is. Secondly, and I do agree with on this, is debanking. Banks have had carte blanche for too long on who they can and don't need to have as clients. And I think, you know, we see these people, you know, these absolute screaming left-wingers. I think that the ability to wear sweet corn in my hair is a human universal right. And they say something like that. What I think is a human universal right is a bank account. Everybody, no matter who you are or what you have done in life, you should be able to have a bank account. And that is undeniable. Now, if a bank debanks you, you have no recourse. You can go to the ombudsman who has no teeth. It's absolutely atrocious. And in the UK and Australia and places where you could say censorship was a little bit stronger than many other places. Let's say that KB came out and said, I don't like ginger cats. And let's say that went on to the front page of The Sun. KB, Kevin Bacon, doesn't like ginger cats. Now, let's say KB banks with Lloyds TSB. Lloyds TSB will send Kevin Bacon, KB, a letter and saying, unfortunately, due to the high-profile nature of who you are, we're going to have to close your account down. Okay? Now, the only people who know that Kevin Bacon, KB, has a bank account with Lloyds TSB should be KB and Lloyds. But they will close his account down. And then Kevin Bacon will go and apply for multiple different bank accounts and they'll all say no. That's not a basic human right when a group of people decide who can and cannot have a bank account. So Kevin Bacon goes off and uses crypto and they don't care. And then 1,000 people go off and use crypto and they don't care. And then suddenly 150 million people are using crypto and then they care. And then they'll want you back because they are losing out. And they will ask the government all kinds of things. Please stop this cryptocurrency. It's making our lives a misery. If you had a decent service, it wouldn't be a problem now, would it, Mr. Bank Manager? But you run a cartel. And you've run a cartel for the last 50 years. So much so, Mr. Bank Manager, why do you have bank branches at little tiny airports dotted around the south coast of America? I don't know. Maybe you should ask why Barclays has got a branch in a tiny little airport on the south of America. Who could possibly fly into the south of America from maybe South America with bags of cash? I don't know, Mr. Bank Manager. So they can play their game, but you don't get a bank account because you don't happen to like ginger cats. That's how the game is. And let's not talk about Africa. Let's not talk about the fact that unless you know somebody, you don't get a bank account in Africa. 2/3 of Africans in certain African countries don't have bank accounts. They use mobile phone credits. Nonsense. Now, US Treasury Scott Bessent says we are not going to be buying Bitcoin. That's what he said. Now, let me say something about this. He cocked up. But I'm going to defend him. And I'm going to defend him because I'm going to show you this. And this is the tweet that I put out about that. Okay? The plan was to always create the strategic Bitcoin reserve with no net cost to the American public. Now, forget the grammar in this. It's autocorrect. I know how to type. If you cannot hear or read that, it is on you. No net cost to the American public. So seizing crypto, and it goes into the Bitcoin reserve. They will be selling stolen assets into Bitcoin. This has been announced. Now, that last sentence is where he cocked up. He cocked up because he didn't say that. He said, we will not be buying Bitcoin, and that was not true. They will be buying Bitcoin with seized assets. And what he came out and he explained after this, that he'd cocked up and explained this. Let's say the American government seizes $50 million worth of XRP. They will sell that $50 million of XRP and buy Bitcoin. They will sell Ethereum for Bitcoin. They will sell every crypto asset for Bitcoin. But it goes further. They will sell other seized assets from bank accounts, from gold reserves, from artwork, whatever it might be. They have the ability to sell that for Bitcoin. Why? Because it doesn't cost the American public any money. So when I talk about them buying 1 million Bitcoin, or it's not 1 million Bitcoin, it's 800,000 Bitcoin, and I gave you the average of about whatever it was, 600 Bitcoin a day, yes, that's what they will be buying on average between now and the end of his presidency. But it doesn't come from the American government sitting there just pressing a button every day. It comes from seized assets. And that is where he cocked up. And everyone was, they've lied to us. They've told us all these lies. They're not buying any more Bitcoin. Shut up. Maybe they did it for clickbait. But if you've listened to me on any of those streams where we've talked about the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, I've told you this before. So when you read that yesterday, it should have confused you. You should have gone, but Mike told me they were buying it, and now they're not. They are buying it, but it's not going to cost. They don't have a physical budget in the American government to buy Bitcoin. But what they do on a weekly basis is seize assets. They seize assets on a weekly basis. That is how it works. Right then, let's move on. This is pretty big news again, by the way. This is one of our, I don't know if they are sponsors. We're an ambassador. I suppose they are technically sponsors, aren't they? Syrup USDC Pendle Market just went live. At current pricing, drips are nearly free. 7% yield, 5x drips at 1% premium. Traders pay 1% for 5x multiplier. Again, that sounds like rocket science to me. Down here, last market reached 100 million with 12% average APY. Now, the breaking news last night coming out of Maple was they went live in another platform, which was Drift. Drift went live, and there's $3 million worth of USDC, Syrup USDC deposits in the last 24 hours over on Drift. Now, I've talked about this in specific videos. I'm not going to go over it again. But basically, I believe that there will be 5 to 10 yield-bearing stablecoins in the world with real heavy numbers behind them within the next 18 months. Ondo will be one of them. Ethena will be the second of them. Syrup USDC will be the third of them. And then I believe that exchanges are going to start offering their own yield-bearing stablecoins or partnering up. So you will have a Binance USD, which will offer X%. Now, I think Syrup is going to make a charge for the number one spot. Maybe they get there, maybe they don't. But I think it's at a $2 billion market cap. This is going to go to 20 billion. Now, don't think that buying Syrup USDC and it 10xing is going to put the price up. It doesn't work that way. It's a yield-bearing stablecoin, so it goes up in value over time. So it might be $1 today, it might be $1.07 in a year's time, $1.15 in 2 years' time. It doesn't work like tokens work. So don't think you go out and buy Syrup USDC and you sit on it today at $1 and then next year it's going to be worth $10. That's not how it's going to work. It's a stable coin. It stays backed by US dollar or US dollar denominated assets, or collateral, whatever it might be. But that is pretty big news, and I'm going to make a video about that at some point. Now then, let's get into the meat and bones of the show, because we have had a couple of little rants already today, haven't we? We've had a rant about the banks. I've had a rant about the fact that people can't read. Yep, so why can't Kishan have a bank account? Why can't Kishan have a bank account? Because he's too risky. Is that the answer? That he's too risky. Kishan's too risky to have a bank account. It's a human right. I don't care. You can have these people with blue hair and nose rings or bull rings through the noses screaming from the high heavens about the fact that they should be allowed to wear cardigans, and Kishan can't have a bank account. Don't you think that's more of an issue? I think it's just a massive distraction. E-commerce nears $10 trillion. See how Web3 is shaping the future of online shopping. This is not the article I was going to bring up. This was supposed to be out with PPI. Right, well, we'll skip that then. PPI came in almost 1% higher than it should have done. And because of that, it scared the bejesus out of the market. Because it should have come in at about 2.7, came in at 3.6 or something on those lines. And it was an absolute disaster, okay? PR disaster. And as people were pointing out, there is now a concerted effort by those in power to fix the inflation figures. Not fix them as in make sure that they say what they want, but fix them in a way that they work. And the reason for this is that when you have the political motivation to make something work, it kind of gets more worky than not. So when Biden was in power and inflation wasn't really a massive issue because it was coming down naturally after COVID, nobody cared that it included staplers or typewriters, which nobody's used in 20 years. Nobody cared to look at that. Nobody cared to look at the fact that asparagus was weighted 10 times higher than beef burgers, for example. So now we have a political party in power that wants to fix this for their own benefit. And I think there will be an update to the CPI and the PPI and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll all get updated. And Truflation, who I've been using now for about 2 or 3 years, they're really accurate, in my opinion. And they are showing inflation at 1.75%. Absolutely fine. It's been below 2% for a couple of months now. And the issue is, of course, that you have this thing called GISGO. GISGO stands for Garbage In, Sophisticated Garbage Out. GISGO. So if I say to KB, right, I want you to have a bet on the Man United-Arsenal match this weekend, who's going to win? And KB says, I don't know anything about football. I say, well, Man United have won 8-0 for the last 40 years against Arsenal at home. KB will go, oh, Man United are going to win. So he'll bet on Man United. And then Gyökeres turns up on Sunday and scores a hat-trick and United lose 3-1. And KB turns around and says, but you said that they were winning 8-0 every time. And then I go back and say, well, actually, those figures aren't correct. So they haven't really beaten Arsenal by more than a goal for a couple of years now. That is garbage in, sophisticated garbage out, because whatever comes out from that is garbage. So what you put in comes out as sophisticated garbage. And that's the problem with CPI data. Look at the employment data. The employment data came in as they'd added 1.1 million jobs. And then the month after, it had been changed to 150,000. How do you get 1 million people wrong? How does that happen? How are these people left in charge? They're left in charge because there's no political will and motivation to change it. So the status quo exists. Bloat is where people do jobs. There's a woman in the news today. She's suing her company because they paid her for 20 years and didn't give her anything to do. So she felt worthless. And she's suing them. Okay? This is the state we're in 2025. As they say, the game's gone mad. Bitcoin ETFs to lock up 1.5 million Bitcoin by New Year as supply squeeze tightens grip. When was it? Was it April, February, January last year? The ETFs didn't exist. And now we're talking about 1.5 million Bitcoin locked up by the end of this year. So let's just call it 2 years. In 2 years, 1.5 million of probably about 18 million Bitcoin has gone. 10%, almost, 9% has gone. Gone. Yes, we might see a little bit of it come back, But these people, these diamond hands, they hold for years. If it's in your retirement fund, you're not going to sell it for 20 or 30 years. So it's gone. So now there isn't 18 million Bitcoin doing the rounds. There's 16.5 million. And then at the end of next year, there'll be 16 million. And then there'll come a time where there isn't enough Bitcoin. And at that point, me screaming at you, you don't own enough Bitcoin. Me telling you to look in the mirror every morning and say, I don't hold enough Bitcoin. That's going to come home to roost and you're going to go, oh, wow, Mike was right. I don't own enough Bitcoin. Now, maybe your target is 0.01 or 0.1 Bitcoin. Okay, absolutely fine. $1,000, $10,000, whatever you can afford. Just buy some Bitcoin. Forget everything else. Forget Ethereum, forget Solana, forget XRP and Cardano. Hold a tiny fraction of Bitcoin. There are idiots, and they do exist on crypto Twitter, talking about the fact, well, why can't we just go out and make a replica of Bitcoin? It's not how it works, is it? It's not how it works. You can't just go and make a replica of Bitcoin and get it anywhere near the market cap. Bitcoin is the 5th largest asset in the world. It overtook Google. Maybe it fell back now because of what's happened, so it's the 6th largest asset in the world. The supply shock is coming, okay? The supply shock is going to come, and the price is going to move up substantially. Now, where it moves up to is the point of contention. I don't think we're going to $1 million anytime soon. I don't think we're going to $500,000 anytime soon. But if you listen to Willy Woo, or Rich Dad Poor Dad, or Tom Lee, or any of these other people that get paid an awful lot of money, or even Michael Saylor, they're all going to tell you that you're going to have $1,100 million per Bitcoin next week. Just buy more Bitcoin. The snake oil salesmen, the heroes today, they'll be villains next week, next year, next cycle. But they are irrelevant. The Bitcoin doesn't care about Michael Saylor or BlackRock. It doesn't care about you. You just need to own a share of it. And yes, there are people out there who are saying, why should you be allowed to hold such a finite asset? I've seen those arguments and I'm like, those communists, they're coming. Okay? So get your Bitcoin. And anything I ever say to you and you think that can't happen, just think back to the fact that you weren't allowed out of your house for 6 months. And if you were, you were allowed out for an hour. Now, had I told you that before it happened, you'd have called me a crazy tinfoil hat wearing lunatic David Icke fanatic. It happened. And I'm telling you now, if you hold enough Bitcoin and you are technically able to, you need to find a way of keeping it off an exchange in some way, shape or form. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I'm not going to do that yet, but there will come a time where I will smell the air and I will realize it's time. So be very careful what you do, but you need to hold a little bit of Bitcoin. I don't care about your meme coin. Okay? Your meme coin's going to do lovely. But when you make an absolute fortune out of your meme coin, buy Bitcoin with it. If you've held Ethereum from $600 and it gets to $6,000, take a bit of that profit and buy Bitcoin. Okay? The end of your sentences should end with, and then I bought a little Bitcoin. It doesn't matter whether it's bull, bear, own a little bit, because in 10 years' time, if you're all alive, and I hope you all are, you will thank me. Maybe you don't thank me today. I don't care. I'm not doing this for praise. I'm doing this to make sure that the men in suits who are already rich don't own all of the Bitcoin. And you owning that Bitcoin, if collectively between us we own 10 Bitcoin, I will be more than happy, because that's 10 less Bitcoin that the men in suits can spend on helicopters. BlackRock's the leading one. Then, of course, don't forget we've got Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. ETF accumulation has coincided with this. Don't need to talk too much about this. I'm going to bring up the Bitcoin chart. What time is it, by the way? I have my shopping arriving at midday, by the way. So this isn't going to overrun dramatically. Exactly. You don't hold enough Bitcoin. Good morning to you. KB would never choose Man United. Well, you know what, KB? You might have good taste in charts, but you've got terrible taste in football clubs. Alex Ferguson once said, if you can't support us when we're losing, don't support us when we're winning. And you know what? Never a truer word is said. I support a football team who got relegated to the 6th tier, so Division 6, and they were awful. They were awful for years, and I never gave up listening to them on the radio, okay? Because back then, they were never on the TV. And they were garbage. Proper garbage. And you know what? They are now top of League One. Second in League One. Okay? Never give up. No matter how dark the hour is. Remember when Bitcoin was at 16 or 17,000? I was positive. And when Bitcoin goes to 150,000, I will be negative. I am Nanny McPhee. Nanny McPhee, right? Visualize it. When you need me, I'll be there. When you want me, I won't. That's what I'm here for. Now, I drew this chart. And you were all thinking, oh, Mike's got this wrong. Mike's got this wrong. I haven't. I absolutely haven't. We've got time. We've got all the time in the world. Okay? You think we're going to be going like that now? I'm going to let you into a secret. Can we do that? Yes, we can. We can also do this, as I've drawn. Okay? I am not saying that we are not going to go lower. We could. If you're of the persuasion to believe the Oracle, I think the Oracle, in fact, I can move that line up now to about there. That's coming in at 105,000, okay? That's where I think our kind of bottom is at the minute, 105,000. Now, we could come here. Now, when I say could, I think we've got, I don't know, 5 or 10% chance of coming down, okay? I think we've probably got a 30% chance of putting in a new all-time high. 30% chance. But my feeling is that we are going to wiggle in here until we get to the middle of September, about the 14th of September, according to my line, and then we're going to do that. Now, again, the bone of contention is, where do we think we're going to go to? Now, I've got a line on here, which is, what's that line? 136,000. Have I kept my other lines on here? I always take my lines off, don't I? I still think we're going to go somewhere 150, 160,000, something like that, okay? Everybody and their aunt is going to tell you we're going to 250, 300,000, right? I don't see that from here, okay? But I'm also going to be wrong, and they're going to be wrong, and we might go to 180, okay? We might go to 190. We might go to 198, 950. Maybe we do, but I can pretty much bet that we're not going to go to 500, 300, 250,000 unless something new happens. It's a little bit like Man United, okay? Man United are going to finish probably 6th, 7th in the league. If they go out today and buy a 22-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, a 21-year-old Lionel Messi, I don't know, a goalkeeper, Peter Shilton in his prime, and then they go and buy Bobby Moore in his prime. If they go out and bought those 5 players in their prime, tomorrow, I'd be like, you know what? I think they'll win the league. What are the chances of that happening? Pretty much zero. What are the chances of going to $300,000 or $400,000 right now? Pretty much zero. Something major is going to have to happen, and I don't see anything major happening. Even rate cuts in September, that's only going to be the start of the catalyst that pushes it up, but it's not going to push us up to $400,000. Think of the size of Bitcoin and where we're going to go, okay? We've done this similar kind of thing quite a lot. And I say quite a lot because I can't say every year we do this. But we have our summer lull. We had it last year. Year before, the summer lull was the all-time lows, 2023. We rattled around at the bottom and then we blew up in October. Where did we come up from last year? October. Where are we going to come up from this year? October. Okay, there are certain patterns that 90% of the time we follow. Maybe the timing is out a little bit. Maybe there is a 0.5% rate cut in September and that triggers an early pump. So maybe the last week of September, the first week in October, maybe. But give me some leeway here. I'm trying to predict what's going to happen, and it's not as easy as people can think. It's easy with 2020 hindsight. I can go back to you and say, oh, October last year we're going to pump, and we did. Oh, October last year, 2023 we pumped, and we did. So I can only give you the indications of what's going to happen. I think we're going to wiggle around in here. That's what I've said. We might have a little bit of excitement. Maybe we're a little bit more volatile. But I think that is what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to stick by that until it is invalidated. And once it's invalidated, we can move on to the next theory. As the Oracle's been saying about syrup, it's coming down to 38 cents in his opinion, before then going straight back up. Everything was pumping this week, but guess what didn't pump? Syrup. Why? Because syrup already had its pump. Syrup went from 15 to 65 cents. Now it's cooling off. Now it's accumulating. Now it's getting into syrup at the prices we told you about. We also told you where it was going to come down to and go to, and we got that right. The Oracle's saying 38 cents. But even he said the market can change from one week to the next. Maybe we don't come down to 38 cents. Maybe we hit 42. Maybe hit 43, whatever. That's why he does the charts a couple of times a week, because things can change. The news about Drift Protocol came out late last night. The news about Pendle came out the day before. All of those things can change the price and the direction of a coin. And this is why I do defend some of these people out there who give you these predictions and then they turn out to be wrong. You know, people were predicting Luna was going to go to $150 when it was at $90. And then it went through the floor. It went to zero. You can't blame the people looking at charts for something like that. So when you look back and you watch somebody from 2 years ago, if their prediction is wrong, but their working out is good, like maths, you get 90% of the points for your working out. If their charts are accurate, but then a macro event happens that just completely wipes the floor, how can you blame the streamer or the trader for getting that wrong when it's been a black swan? Nobody predicted COVID. Nobody predicted... Actually, no, we are predicting Taiwan. But you know what I mean? It will still shock the world. Nobody predicted tariffs. And then what was worse was nobody predicted the effect that the tariffs would have, apart from a very few people, including me, who said they're a nothing burger. And the price action was the people reading the news and thinking it was going to be the end of the world, and it never is. Ethereum still at risk of being overtaken by XRP. Analyst walks back shocking prediction. Listen, the worst prediction I've read in the last few weeks is that Ethereum will flip Bitcoin, which I think we covered on Monday or Tuesday. Absolute horse crap. But there is a bigger chance of XRP flipping Ethereum than Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. I think that's a fact. I don't think either of them are ever going to happen, but there is a greater chance of XRP overtaking Ethereum. Listen, if Bitcoin gets flipped by Ethereum, we've either got a problem with crypto or Bitcoin, and either one is not good. So we don't want Bitcoin to be flipped. It should always be the most pristine asset in the world, and I don't think Ethereum... I think Ethereum might get close, but I don't think it'll ever flip it. The crypto world believed XRP could overtake Ethereum market capitalization. I didn't believe. I didn't believe last year or this year it was ever going to happen. Don't know where they've got this from. The belief grew after XRP's powerful rally late last year, which saw it outperform most major coins. The court case, of course, was going to make it rip. At the time, market analysts were confident the gap between the two would soon close. Now, one of the most vocal supporters of the flippening, a popular analyst known as Charting Guy, has reserved and said it's unlikely to happen anytime soon. Is that because it's gone from $1,600 to $4,700? It's like me saying, you know, the crops are going to die. And then we have 3 weeks of rain and me coming out and saying, I don't think the crops are going to die anytime soon. Really, what incredible insight that is. What incredible insight. I mean, give that man a medal. It's tripled in value, so now it's not going to get flipped by XRP. Come on. Pointed to the period between November and January when XRP surged 600%, where ETH barely moved. Nothing moved that much. So it's gone from $1,400 in April to $4,800. That's a, 3.5x return? XRP's price did has plateaued, really, hasn't it? It's at $3 now. But again, I don't care. $3 is a good price for me. I think people are worried about a $3 XRP because their price predictions are too high. $5 to $7, I think I have said for XRP. So I am in Clover. Cardano at $1, $3 to $5, I think I've said for Cardano, maybe even $5 to $7. I'm in Clover. I am happy. The people who aren't happy are the people telling you that XRP is going to $100. And then they'll be angry at XRP for not getting to $100 when it was a totally unrealistic target. I thought a year ago, I thought Ethereum could hit $10,000. And I was having my very, 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 very doubtful moments when we were down there. And I was thinking, this isn't right. We're going to go at some point. We've got to go at some point. And I even said, we're running out of time for Ethereum to move. Now we're at $4,500. That $10,000 target doesn't seem too far away. But still, I think $7,000 now is probably a better revised target for me. But a blow off top could take us up there. I still think $7,000. So he's changed his opinion based on what? Based on the fact that Ethereum is 3x'd. They're all moving trains, my friend. They're all moving trains. The only trains that aren't moving and haven't moved all year are probably the trains you shouldn't be on. And I include Polygon in that. But I think Polygon is making a concerted effort to come back. He's on a few, I think he's going to be on, Sandeep this is, from Polygon. He's going to be on a couple of different podcasts. So I think he's trying to time his run for the last lap, I think. But anyway, if we get anywhere near $1, I had a Polygon target of about $3. We're never going to get near that now. $1, $1.20, I think I would get out at. And that's probably 50% profit, maybe. So Ethereum strength, anyway, I'm not going to read any more of this. I think the problem is that in all honesty, I understand why people say this, because we don't do this on this channel, and that's probably why we have fewer viewers. Right? That's probably why we have fewer viewers. We don't make stupid predictions. We don't give you stupid targets. We don't give you stupid prices. Okay? And that is probably why we have 51 people watching us now, not 500 people watching us now. Okay? But why am I going to sit here and lie to you? Why am I going to sit here and give you unrealistic pipe dreams? Could KB play for Manchester United? What are the chances of KB playing for Man United? Number one, he doesn't like them. Number two, he might have knee transplants. Number three, he might not know how to kick a ball. Okay, but what are the chances of him playing for Man United? Are they zero? No, they're not. There is not a definitive zero. Okay, there is a 0.0000001% chance of KB playing for Man United. Okay, if every footballer disappeared off the planet tomorrow and they needed people to play for Man United, and everybody who could play for Man United broke their knees or broke their legs, apart from KB and 10 other players, could KB play for Man United? Yes. So it's not a zero that KB plays for Man United. The same way it's not a zero that Bitcoin goes to $1 million in November. It's not a zero number. It's a 0.0001% chance number. And they'll make a video on that. And they'll sell you a dream. And in the bear market, when you think you're going to make all this money and you haven't made all that money because they've lied to you, you'll go, but you told me it was going to be $1 million and it only made 180,000. And they'll be like, not financial advice, do your own research, off I go. Because they sold and you didn't. And that's the problem. And this is the issue with these ridiculous targets. They do it for the clicks. They don't do it for you, they do it for the clicks. They do it for clicks, advertising revenue, numbers, memberships, all that kind of good stuff. They do it for that. Talking of numbers, by the way, in the bottom left-hand corner, you will see 224,000. We're not at 224,000 anymore. We're at 234,300. We've gone up 10,000 since I updated that. And that's across Binance Square, Binance Live, X, YouTube. I think that's all we count nowadays. Not bad, eh? Not bad. Simon has arrived. Is that Simon's question now every day? Is this the top? It's not the top. People will tell you it's the top because Bitcoin is going to sidle for a while, and they're going to say it's the top, and it's not the top. The top is coming in November. We have a lot more left in the tank. Solana reclaims $200. Surging new buyers signals move upside after a 21% jump. I think I'm a lot happier with Solana at where we are today than I was the other day when we were at $168. I was feeling a little bit like it was getting left behind. Now, I'm not talking about Ethereum. Ethereum has its own little race going on. I'm talking about the fact that Binance, BNB got to all-time highs. XRP's back over $3. There's a lot of coins around Solana that were moving and Solana wasn't moving. And now Solana's moved. I'm a lot happier. I still think $600 is on the cards. I've been saying that for 2 years. Go back and watch my videos. Still think $600 on the cards. If you also watch the videos, you will see I think we could wick towards $1,000 on Solana with the ETF institutional demand. Okay? That's a really big caveat because we're running out of time for the ETF. We know Grayscale are going to dump the hell out of us, but we have ETH staking coming anytime soon, and we will get Solana staking straight away, I hope. So that is the added thrust that will push us higher. And it's a lot easier to get to $600 from $200, $220 than it is to get there from $160. I think we've got our own whale. Solana whale is $200, the same way that $4,000 was the Ethereum whale. We've got to basically put this to bed and stay above $200. And we haven't done that on Solana. We've got above it, but we haven't held it. I was saying the same thing about Ethereum. Monday, I think I was saying this, or Friday last week. Look at the times we've gone over $4,000 on Ethereum in the last year. We've done it 3 times already. We didn't hold. We didn't get anywhere near holding. We held it for a few days. This looks like it's going to hold. How many times have we gone above $200 on Solana and held? We haven't. We keep falling down, and we're down again. So we need to break it and probably go somewhere about $240 and then hold. Okay? That's what we need to do on Solana. So for me, I think Solana is ready. Okay? It's ready. There are so many things in place for Solana. Another $1 billion of USDC was added last week or this week. Last night, I saw another $250 million being minted on the Solana blockchain. The money is coming to Solana. I think it's prepping. And I think we're going to see a really solid run. And again, I said to you only last Friday, I said to you, we're going to be near $25 on Chainlink before you know it, when we were at about $18. Okay? Today, we have come down, to give me some credit. We have come down a bit, but we did get as high as about $24. So it got there in a week. This is how fast it can move. I think Solana at $195 could be at $2.20 next week. As long as everything doesn't collapse around my ears and Trump comes out and says, I hate Bitcoin. We could be at $220, $230, $240. And then we'll stick there for another couple of weeks. Maybe hold 200 on retracements, whatever it might be. But we've got to get above $200. Look at BNB's holding $800 like a champion. XRP's holding $3 like a champion. Ethereum's clear of $4,000. Come on, Solana. Give us a little bit of hopium to get us above $200. Now, how long do we have left? 7 minutes. What do we have to talk about? Alt season. Okay, we'll miss off the last one. We're going to cover alt season. And again, if your portfolio is not at all-time highs right now, then you've not been listening to me. I'm going to be honest, you've not been listening to me. If you've not got the biggest portfolio you've ever had at these prices, you've been doing it wrong. And that's my honest opinion. And I'm sure a lot of you out there have got all-time highs. I broke all-time highs on my portfolio probably a month ago. And now I am all-time high. I'm still not near where I think we can go to. I think we've probably got another 75% to go on my specific portfolio. But if we hit that, I'm done. I am done. Not done with streaming, but done. And I am going to be throwing those bags of coins at exchanges. They're going to be hitting Binance and Crypto.com exchange is going to be hitting the face with my bags of coins. Take it. Give me the cash. And then you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to put it into Syrup USDC and I'm going to put it into USC, which is the stable coin on the Kronos chain. By the way, I've got two LPs running on VVS Finance at the minute. One's paying 15.5%, the other one's paying 16%, and it's USDC and USDT against USC. So I'm getting 15% on my stable coins right now with no leverage or risk. And nobody looks at it because there's nobody on Kronos. And I am going to sit there and milk that cow until it looks like a raisin. Okay? Prominent market players split on altcoin season arrival. See the most bullish and bearish claims. And if you want to find out about those 15, 16% APRs, just go and look at the tweet I put out about it 2 days ago. I told you the two LPs to go and get. They've got an auto harvest function and you can even pay it directly into your account every day. It's the easiest thing in the world, and I'm not associated with VVS Finance. I am not paid by VVS Finance to mention it, and it's taken me a long time to go over and test it, and now I have. Right, cryptocurrency influencer and content creator Daniel Borovic appears extremely bullish on Ether, forecasting $80,000. What a load of crap. As an attainable price target for the altcoin, the analyst cited multiple fundamental factors. When is he predicting this for? 2160. He's predicting the bullish rise to never be seen fall. Why ETH is going to $80,000. Institutions buying billions in ETH, billions in ETF inflows. Genius Act. Yeah, but billions in ETH is not going to push it to $80,000, my friend. An $80,000 Ethereum will give it what market cap? So what we've got to do, we've got to times the market cap of ETH by 20. So here's predicting that we are going to see a $10 trillion Ethereum. That's what he's predicting. A $10 trillion Ethereum. My target for Ethereum is 1 trillion. And I don't think we're far away from that. And that would put us at about $7,000 or $8,000. I think I'm going to be pretty close to that. Also, don't forget, we did break above $4 trillion market cap. My entire market cap prediction, which again, 2 years ago, 6 to 10 trillion. I said 6 to 10 trillion 2 years ago. So again, I'm not going to give you 6.52 trillion as a price target or as a target for the market cap 2 years ago. I'm 2 years out and I've given you a target that I still think we're going to land in. Okay? Think of it this way. If the entire thing didn't move, but everything went up 50% from here, would you be happy? So that would be $7,000 Ethereum. I've said that. Bitcoin would be at about $160,000, $170,000. I've said that. XRP would be at $6. I've said that. BNB, I've said $1,500. Check. Solana would be at $400. No, Solana would be at $300. Got that wrong. What else? Cardano would be at $2, $1.50. Yeah, I'm a bit out there. Again, a lot of my top targets are based on where I think the market is going to go to. And don't forget, they're not going to hit all-time highs on the same day for each and every single coin. So when I say $7,000 or $8,000 for Ethereum, that might not be the same day that Bitcoin goes to $150,000. Bitcoin might go to $150,000, drop to $140,000, $135,000. That liquidity then goes into Ethereum, which pushes it to $8,000. Then Ethereum drops off to 6.5, and Sol and what else is down here? XRP and Cardano pump. So when I've got these targets, they're not same day targets. They'll be the same zone, but not the same day. So I think I'm going to be within my range. And listen, if we go to 10 trillion and everything goes up 150%, and I'm wrong, I do apologise profusely, but my bank balance and your bank balance won't care. Let's put that out there. So we're not going to go to $80,000. When is he given this target for? Now, I get the Genius Act. I get the stable coins. I get that everything's coming to Ethereum. I get all of these things. But it still doesn't make Ethereum worth $10 trillion. It makes Ethereum have a reason. What's it called? The reason d'etre, or whatever it is in French. It has the reason to be because of what's coming to it. But it doesn't make the value of it 20 times higher than it is. For me, there is no value in Ethereum if it doesn't get what's going to come to it. So the way I would look at it is it's not worth 500 billion if it doesn't get this. And if it does get all of this, it's worth a trillion, Yeah, 500 billion and trillion. Okay? That's just the way I see it. But to say it's going to go to 10 trillion, maybe, in the very, very long term, it will. But to get to 10 trillion, Bitcoin is going to have to be at 50 trillion. And Bitcoin at 50 trillion puts it at $2.5 million a coin, I think. That's doable, but that's not doable for a very long time. And who knows? Who knows? Right, paying to an IBAN in Bitcoin. Again, I said this at the start of the show, so a lot of you, I think Tariq is here. Is that hello? $80K. I'm glad people are on my side. I'm glad. You know what? I don't want people to sit there and think I am just a moody bollocks, okay? And I can say that word because it's only a swear word in the north of England. And as I keep saying to you, this says bar humbug on it, okay? Bar humbug. That's who I am. Now, I'm not sponsored by these people, but I just want to point this out as a direction that crypto is likely to take, and I like this. So, imagine you've got 1 Bitcoin and your bill comes in, and your bill is $50 for your water bill. You go to a website, maybe Binance, and you say to Binance, right, I want to send $50 in Bitcoin to pay my water bill. Press a button and it will send the Bitcoin to an IBAN address. That IBAN address will then convert it from Bitcoin into $50. Now, this is brilliant. Why? Because you can take Binance and every exchange out of the equation and you can go to a non-custodial wallet. So let's say your ledger holds 1 Bitcoin and your bill comes in at $50. You send it from your ledger to pay your bill. Okay? So there's no bank, well, there is a bank involved at the other end, of course, but there's no intermediary. There's nobody to stop it. It will get there in minutes. And I like this. Now, it's going to be ropey at the beginning. And this is only an example that I've found. I don't know who Atlas 21 are. I know nothing about this. But I like this. And I like the fact that at some point in the future, you're likely to have a wallet which will have your gas, water, electricity, mortgage, whatever attached to it. And it will become a bank account. But by becoming a bank account, it takes the banking system out of the equation because you're sending the money directly to the bank. And you don't need one. So, over the years, the market has witnessed the birth of various services specialized in facilitating Bitcoin payments amongst the pioneers. Bitrefill, I've used Bitrefill. Bitrefill is brilliant. Now, I'm going to let you into something, and this is not to help you avoid taxing or anything like that. So, YouTube, if you're listening, I'm just explaining what people do. You can go to Bitrefill, and you can top up your Sainsbury's account using Bitrefill. So you can put $100 into Bitrefill and Bitrefill will add $100 or £100, should I say, to your Sainsbury's account. Then you can do an online order and then you can get the shopping to your house. There are people out there, and there is a name for them, but I don't know who they are, for people who live solely off Bitrefill. They don't use their bank account. They use their crypto and they go via Bitrefill, and you can get food, takeaway food, groceries. You can pay your bills, you can pay for your games, your PlayStation Store, you can pay for everything through Bitrefill. And I've used them before and I really like them. You can get Amazon vouchers through them, which means you can buy pretty much everything. But the problem, of course, with stuff like that is reporting. It's very difficult to report on what goes where. So I could, for example, order a brand new computer via Bitrefill from a non-custodial wallet and send it to KB's house. And that doesn't go through any system. Of course it doesn't go through any system. So there are ways and means for these things to be abused, and I'm not suggesting or condoning any of that should happen. I'm just explaining how it's become a success. Now, Bull Bitcoin, which appears to be the company involved with this, allows paying any service or entity that accepts bank transfers in euros using Bitcoin directly. So you create an account on their website, you hit sign up, and again, I don't know who they are. I've never been to the website. I'm not telling you to go anywhere near them. I'm just showing you how easy this is likely to be in the future for you. And I guarantee you Binance is going to offer you this. I guarantee you other exchanges are going to offer you this. Why? Because again, I've been saying for a year, exchanges are going to become banks. Binance is going to be your all-in-one bank account. Wherever you are in the world, they will on-bank you. As long as you've got clear KYC, clear AML, and a passport, they will bank you, right? And you'll be able to do stuff like this through Binance. So don't look at this company. I haven't looked at them. It could be it could cost a fortune to do this. I'm just showing you the example. Then all you have to do is you stick your amount in, you stick where it's being sent into, you put the IBAN in, you put the name in, and you press send. That's how it's going to work in the future. And I guarantee you, MetaMask will have this solution, Phantom will have this solution, your Ledger will have this solution, and this is another part of the future where you never have to use your bank card. You never have to use your bank because it will all be done through the likes of Binance. Anyway, that is probably how... Yeah, I think they're brilliant. I generally think they're brilliant. I was buying... I bought... Here's one for you. So it was my mum's birthday on August the 4th, which I said on the stream, and I think Pakasad, I'm going to get his name right one day, he wished her happy birthday. I went to Bitrefill, bought an Amazon code. I then deposited that Amazon code into my Amazon account, which added the money. I pressed go. Now I have Amazon Prime paid for through a card that I have from an exchange that I also use as well as Binance. So I don't pay for Amazon Prime, so I've got that for free. The money came from interest. I bought her a birthday present. It arrived the following day. That entire thing, including Bitrefill, took 2 minutes because it's one click Amazon Prime. It was one click to enter the code. It was one click to deposit onto Bitrefill. It was a piece of cake. That's the future. If you've not looked at Bitrefill, go and check them out. Anyway, 12:07. I've overrun. Just a reminder. There. I'm streaming tomorrow with the Oracle and Yikes at 12 o'clock. Make sure to tune in. It will be live on Binance. Live on Binance Square, live on YouTube, maybe live on X. We don't know yet. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. If you don't see me tomorrow, if you can't make it tomorrow, no problem. I'll see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you, KB, Kishan, Danny, Simon, everybody else. Have a great weekend. Take care.